What's going on YouTube? So inexpensive cars have always been popular with young Americans. However, these days, just having a low price doesn't cut it. They demand space, style, and technology from their vehicles, which is why Nissan has totally redesigned their most affordable crossover, the Kicks. So is this crossover that starts under $22,000 an unbelievable deal in today's inflation-powered economy? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So let's go ahead and start off with the exterior design. Now, if it wasn't for the badge on this vehicle, I don't think you would know this is a Nissan Kicks. That's how big of a change this is design-wise compared to the previous generation. And I think really one of the most profound parts of those changes is up here in the front. So one of the things you'll notice is that this is really a lot more robust looking. They've really made the front end a lot flatter and a lot taller, so this looks more like a conventional SUV. You also have a large grille, which emphasizes the width. As you can see, we have it going all the way across. It actually reaches out underneath of the headlights. This is going to be finished in a gloss black finish, and then we've got our SR branding as well. And the same deal also applies down here at your lower fascia. By the way, this has 8.4 inches of ground clearance, which Nissan says is the best in class, and again, just makes this look a lot more tough out on the road. Now moving up to our headlights, we have standard LEDs on this generation. Here with the SR, as you can see, we've got this really nice crystal LED setup across the top. You have an LED daytime running light and turn signal indicator, and then you even have this stacked arrangement here, which is also part of your DRL and integrates in with the grille. Now to go along with the fashionable design, we have a lot of fashionable wheel choices. It's going to begin with a 16-inch steel wheel on just that base trim level. However, everything else comes with alloy wheels with cool contrast designs, 17s on your SV trims, and then the SR trim level gets 19-inch alloy wheels. These are really large for the segment. As you can see, very fashionable design on board. If you don't like the contrast look, you can also option on a fully blacked out rim. You do have a little bit of matte black plastic trim around the wheel arches as well as the lower part of the body. And coming up here to our mirrors, all trims will get standard blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert, and heating is available.
Now at this side of the all-new Kicks, you will notice that it's not just up in the front that's different in terms of design. The side is very different, and it's also going to be longer than the previous generation by about 3 inches. Overall vehicle length is about 172 inches for this new model. Now you're also noticing some of the really cool design elements. First of all, you'll notice that we have a floating roof design. It even has Kicks branding right there, which I think is a really cool design touch. Also, a nice design touch here on this affordable Kicks is the fact that you have two-tone roof color options. And yes, I said options because there are actually 3 different colors you can pick. You can even get a red color like you see on this model, a gray option, or a black option. Also, the SR trim level is where you're going to get the nice roof rails as well. But let's go ahead and move around to the rear design of the Kicks and see what we have going on back here. I have to say the back looks really fresh as well. It has a lot of the same design touches that you'll see in the front, so it has a cohesive look, but also a little bit more of a sporty and premium design than before. So we have a spoiler up top, we have a wiper right here, kind of almost an integrated deck lid spoiler, and then our taillights are going to have a cool shape to them. They're also going to be very premium taillights. I have to say I was very surprised to see today that they have LED brake lights, LED turn signals, and LED reverse lights. So all 3 elements are LED, at least here on this trim level. Now as we drop down to the lower fascia, it is going to be finished in body color and some matte black. Nissan does not recommend towing with this model. Now when it comes to safety, Nissan has also upped the game for the Kicks this year in that department, because you're going to have the vast majority of your safety features as standard equipment even on the base model. So that includes things like adaptive cruise control. However, do be aware you will have to option on for lane keep assist as well as other features such as lane centering with the adaptive cruise control. But rear auto braking actually will be standard. That's going to wrap up the exterior of the new Kicks. There's also a lot to dive into on the inside, but first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
All right, now let's move on to the interior. First, here is our key fob. You do have a standard smart entry system on board. Remote start is optional. This is Nissan's newest key fob. Getting inside the vehicle itself, there's not a sensor behind the handle, so you just press the little button there to unlock the door. And then take a look at the interior. I think you'll be very impressed by what you find inside of this cabin, especially for this price point. But before we get into all the individual features and details about that, let's talk about our seats. So standard on your S and your SV trims is going to be a cloth seat. It's available only in black. And then when you choose the SR trim level, this is going to get you a cloth and leatherette seat. So as you can see, the majority of the seat is finished in a nice leatherette, except for the center section, which has a cool cloth. You've got a lot of red accents running throughout and red color contrast stitching. It overall looks really very cool, especially with that speaker integrated up there into the headrest itself. The seats adjustments are going to be manual across the board. They're 6-way manual. And let's go ahead and get inside. And now that I'm fully inside the interior, we need to look at the rest of the material. So this is really quite impressive overall, what you get, especially here on this SR trim level. You're going to notice we have a leatherette trim really over most of the door. So all through here is going to have this cool texture with color contrast stitching. Up at the top, more of that leatherette, again with the double tone stitching. As we move to the upper dashboard, more leatherette through here, more stitching details, more of that textured leatherette through the center section as well. We even have a padding along the console, and everything in here does feel really nice and solid. This is, like I said, a kind of a night and day difference really from the previous generation. And let's go ahead and fire it up with our push button start. Now that it's fired up, let's just go ahead and jump straight into the interior technology, because this is really an impressive area. So if you remember when the Trax was introduced, it has a standard about 10-inch display. Nissan actually one-ups it here with the SR trim level because it gives you the 12.3-inch full digital gauge cluster. This is, of course, reconfigurable as you'd expect with different kinds of designs that you can pick between. And overall, the graphics just look incredibly impressive for this segment of vehicle. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, you will find a nice leather-wrapped steering wheel here on the SR. Since we have the premium package, this is also going to give us steering wheel heating as well as the rain-sensing wipers you see back there. Nice flat bottom design as well. It is manual tilt and telescoping. Now, let's turn over here and take a look at interior storage. So we do have kind of this conventional center console area now with a nice armrest across the lineup. If we lift this open, you're going to find some donuts inside. That's because here at Car Confections, we like to do the donut test and see the volume of the center console. Now, we didn't have to bring too many donuts to Detroit with us today because it does only fit 2 inside of here. It's relatively small, but they're saving most of the space for your 2 quite large and deep cup holders, as well as another storage cubby up here in the front, which does have a wireless phone charging pad on both the SV and the SR trim levels. Now, coming back to our shifter, it's just a nice conventional style, so you're just going to pull back for drive. You don't have any paddle shifters on the steering wheel. When we head into reverse, this is where you're going to find a standard backup camera. Of course, we have the around view camera system. This is going to be on the SR trim level, and as you can see, you've got both the overhead view as well as your active trajectory over there on the side, and you can switch between a few other views as well. And newly standard across the entire lineup for 2025 is the fact that we have an electronic parking brake with brake hold. Now, as we rise slightly above that, the next thing you're going to see are a panel of climate controls. You get manual climate on both of your lower trim levels. However, once you get to the SR trim, that upgrades you to a single zone automatic setup. As you can see, we've got these touch-sensitive panel right here where we can make those adjustments, and they appear up there in the display itself. Other types of settings, you have to press that button there, and you can adjust your zones and things like that. Also, inside of this panel is where you access your 2-stage heated seats. Obviously, ventilated seats are not going to be available, and these are optional. And then rising above here, we have a physical volume knob. Now, in terms of your audio systems, you are going to have a few different ones ranging from 4 speakers all the way up to the 10-speaker Bose premium sound system that we have on board today with our SR Premium. Let's go ahead and give it a sample. Yeah, overall sound quality is pretty good. Obviously in this segment, actually having branded sound systems is somewhat rare, and especially having some premium features such as the headrest speakers really elevates the overall experience. Okay, let's zero in again with our in-car technology. So this display here is also 12.3 inches, just like the gauge cluster. A 7-inch display is what will be standard, but both the SV and the SR trims will come with this 12.3-inch one. This is running the Nissan Connect system. So as you can see, we have pretty cool graphics and animations as you swipe between. Everything is pretty good in terms of your overall performance. Importantly, this does have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Both of them are on board and supported. Previously, Nissan would kind of leave out Android Auto. Now it is available here as well, as you can see right there on the display. Graphics are quite good with this screen as well. So overall, really impressed because this segment of vehicle typically doesn't have, you know, this nicest technology, and this is a really nice display. Moving up top here, we do have a manual dimming mirror. Got a little sunglass holder as well as some LED lighting. And then you'll probably be very impressed to see that we have a panoramic sunroof. That's another very rare feature for this type of vehicle. It is optional on both SV and SR.
But let's go ahead and discuss rear space because, you know, in this segment of vehicle, it's not a given that you're going to have a lot of cargo space or rear seat room. And here with the Kicks, I'm happy to tell you that that is not the case. We actually have quite a lot of space. 34.5 inches of legroom and 38 inches of headroom. That is a ton of headroom, guys. That kind of square design on the outside really translates to a lot of headroom. It makes it feel very spacious back here. Although I will say that the legroom figure is behind a couple of the competitors, such as the Chevy Trax, which has really, really good legroom. Now, as far as our overall knee room, I'm 5'9", Drew is 5'8", and we're looking at 5 inches of knee space with that seat adjustment. I also do have room under my seat for my feet to slide under, and the seats do not recline, so do keep that in mind. At least here on the high-end SR trim level, we do have a fold-down center armrest with 2 cup holders inside. We're also going to have 2 USB ports, so no vents, but that's not really expected in this segment. I'm very happy to see that we do have USBs, though. As far as the door trim is concerned, it is going to be hard touch on all the upper part, which is different from the front. However, the lower piece, this is going to be a really nice leatherette that's padded, and then we also have bottle storage down in the very bottom. Now, walking up to the tailgate, for the Kicks, you will not have a power tailgate on any of the versions. So even the fully loaded model does not have a power tailgate, which slightly disappointed by, but overall you got to keep in mind they have to keep these cars affordable, so they have to make some sacrifices, and that's something I'm not too sad to see go. Now, as far as the cargo dimensions are concerned, 24 cubic feet behind the second row of seats. If we fold those seats down, we're going to have a maximum of 50 cubic feet. That's with the all-wheel drive version. So this vehicle is now available with all-wheel drive. The front drive version actually will give you quite a bit more cargo capacity, 30 cubic feet behind the second row, and is a maximum 60 cubic feet. So keep that in mind. If you want the extra cargo capacity, that's about a 10 cubic feet difference as a maximum. Just go ahead and get the front-wheel drive version of this vehicle. Now, the seats do fold 60-40 split. There are not any handles to fold them, so you just reach up, and then you can easily fold them using these tabs. And now that I've got the seats folded down, let me give you our cargo length, width, and height figures. That's something we do in all of our Car Confections reviews in case you're looking to haul something specific. We're looking at 65 inches of length behind Drew's 5'8" driving position. Behind the second row, 31 inches of length. And then about 43 inches wide, which is really, really good for a vehicle in this segment. As far as the height, I can't get it because these stupid cargo covers, they're always in the way. I have to tell you, they drive me insane. And then and then underneath of the floor, we have quite a bit of additional space, though. Do keep in mind you will not have a spare tire. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the all-new Nissan Kicks. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting our sound level reading. But first, we want to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right, that was 60 miles per hour with the 2025 Nissan Kicks. So we do have a new engine on board this year, and with this new engine you are going to have a little bit more power, 19 more horsepower to be exact. We now have 141 horsepower, 140 pound-feet of torque from a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. You previously had a 1.6-liter 4-cylinder engine.
Yeah, and Drew and I have been driving around this Kicks all morning long, and what we have to say about this is certainly the previous generation Kicks was one of the slowest new vehicles that money could buy. I mean, let's just be real. One of the slowest things
we've ever driven.
Yeah, it was really, really incredibly slow. This one is a big step up, for sure. Of course, it's an entirely new engine, and the power figures aren't going to like knock your socks off at 140 semi horsepower, but the thing is it feels so much better than the previous generation, and really most of the rivals are not incredibly powerful either, so it's pretty much right in line with most of the rivals when it comes to the power figures.
Yeah, we're certainly not saying that it's fast. It is in no way, shape, or form fast. But like Mason is saying, every little bit counts basically when it comes to a vehicle like this. Having a few extra horsepower is going to, really help out, and it definitely feels like this has helped out. In addition to just having generally different tuning, so a lot of the feel, like when you're just accelerating, like I just did, not flat out. With the way they've tuned it, just makes it feel a lot more responsive. The throttle response is giving you a nice little kick straight off the line. And then, we won't get into this right now, but the continuously variable transmission is a big improvement. Well, they gave it another acceleration. Now I'll talk about the continuously variable transmission. So, yes, this does continue to have a CVT, but this is the next generation Xtronic CVT. Definitely a big step up. Like I said, very responsive. So when you put your foot down, you do get an immediate response from a dead stop when you're already rolling. Just feels a lot more linear in the way it delivers the power. The other thing is that you have shift simulation. So as you saw, it kind of goes through some simulated gear changes. It gives you a more traditional feel, and it helps you avoid that, terrible drone that the previous generation had when you were really accelerating hard, just being locked up there on the top of the RPM range.
Yeah. Now, also new for this Kicks is the fact that we have available all-wheel drive. So previously it was front-wheel drive exclusive. Now we have that all-wheel drive option, and that's particularly noteworthy because a lot of this vehicle's competition, stuff like the all-new Chevy Trax, does not offer all-wheel drive. So actually today we're driving this around in Detroit, Michigan, and that is a very cold climate where people pretty much demand all-wheel drive. So I'm very happy to see that Nissan has expanded that out to really appeal to all buyers in all regions of the U.S. And we turned off on a, kind of dirt road up here. So let's go ahead and quickly discuss ride quality. Now, as I mentioned a couple times at this point already, we've been driving this Kicks around all morning long. And really the great thing about that is the fact that we've gotten experience with the overall ride of this vehicle. So what we're going to say about this is that compared to a lot of the competition, we feel like it rides very similar. Overall, it's a pretty nice riding vehicle, relatively compliant. You will feel some intrusions enter into the cabin. This is, of course, an affordable vehicle, so it's not going to be like an S-Class or anything like that. But overall, we find it to be pretty good, even despite having the large 19-inch alloy wheels. Nissan was quick to point out they have a new multi-link rear suspension setup that is on all-wheel drive versions of this vehicle. So we are in an all-wheel drive one, so we assume that would make a better ride quality than the front drive version. So honestly, we were talking about that. You might have the best ride in the
the all-wheel drive base one.
Yeah, because you have smaller wheels. But overall, pretty good. The thing I really want to talk about, though, are these seats. A lot of times in this segment of vehicle, you really have just hard brick seats. And this has Nissan's zero gravity setup, and that's standard on all versions of the kicks, and it really just does a great job of supporting you on longer road trips. And I think that really just overall aids the ride quality of this vehicle, is just how comfortable these seats are.
And now Mason wants to get the sound level reading.
.7 decibels is our sound level reading in the all-new Nissan Kicks. Now, we're up here in Michigan, so do keep that in mind. This is not an official Kentucky sound level reading. We do look forward to having one of these back home, actually, in just a couple weeks from now, to get a official Kentucky sound level reading. But for now, we're sitting at that 59 decibel figure, which I do believe is not bad for this segment. I don't have to sit here and guess, though. I can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings, and on our website, we posted all of the cars that we review. Now, even compared to a lot of models that were actually tested in Kentucky, that's not that loud for this segment of vehicle. Namely, some of the vehicles that will be louder would be stuff like the Honda CR-V, and the Subaru Crosstrek also tested at a very similar figure to this. But keep in mind, we are in Michigan on this test.
There aren't a ton of corners, but we have gone around a few off camera. But talking about how it does corner and handle, again, big improvements over the previous generation for sure. One of the things that they have done is really improve the steering. So you get an immediate response as soon as you go off center, which is nice. It's not super dead. Obviously, it is going to be light. This is not a sporty vehicle, but it definitely helps it feel a little bit more agile. Now, this does have an elevated ride height, though, compared to a few things in the segment for sure. So one of the things that we observed compared to, say, something like the Chevy Trax is that this does exhibit more body roll. So if you go around the corner, pretty fast, you're going to feel a little bit more of that body roll because of that extra ground clearance. But I think that's probably a worthwhile trade-off, especially since you kind of set up high in this case.
Yeah.
So it does feel more like you're driving that class above SUV because you have that elevated ride height. And you also have good visibility around you as well.
And while we're just sitting here stuck in some traffic, I want to point out that you do not have auto start stop on this version of the vehicle. The all-wheel drive version does not get auto start stop. And your fuel economy is coming in at 31 miles per gallon combined with the front wheel drive version, or 30 mpg combined. So overall, that's pretty good fuel economy, especially for not having any hybridization going on. I do want to point out, though, of course, you do not have a hybrid option, which is a little bit disappointing to me. I would prefer to maybe have a hybrid version of this vehicle that you can get 40 miles a gallon combined, although a lot of the rivals don't have hybrids either. And let's get into our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball, which is our favorite and least favorite element about this new Kicks. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the Slam Dunk?
So the Slam Dunk today is going to be kind of a broad thing, but it's really just going to be how improved this is over the previous generation. It really just, all the things that were problems with the previous generation, it really seems to have mostly addressed. I mean, power, it's still not very powerful, but other than that, it's really a thumbs up.
Yeah, if we were giving out most improved awards, this would certainly be up there on the list of cars that we've done this year on just huge steps forward for the new generation. Now, on the airball side of things, what he said, the power is still not great. I think it's a huge improvement over what they had before still, but it's not going to be as fast as some of the rivals. Although I will say that based on what I see in the comments section, a lot of you guys might be willing to accept a power decrease to not have turbocharge or a 3-cylinder option, which is what a lot of the competition has. So just a standard 2-liter 4-cylinder might be something that you guys are looking for. And as far as last things to mention, I want to talk about our warranty. So we have a 3-year, 36,000-mile basic warranty, 5-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty, and there's something new to discuss here. Nissan just announced that they will be doing complimentary maintenance for the 2025 model years. That's actually across all Nissan products, but this is the first time that we've heard that. So that's going to be a 2-year, 24,000-mile maintenance plan. So that's certainly nice that they're coming in line with rivals such as Toyota. And let's discuss pricing. So that's, of course, a very good aspect of this vehicle, and I'm very happy to tell you that they didn't jack the price up with this new generation. That was the big question that a lot of us had was, they made it better, but is it going to cost a lot more? Thankfully, the answer is not. $21,830 is the base price for 2025. Now, as you go up the trim structure, this SR will cost quite a bit more than a fully loaded model before. $26,180 is your starting point, and then if you want all the options, you're going to be sitting a little over $30,000, which is still a pretty competitive price point for this segment. Now, if you're looking to buy a Nissan Kicks or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. Now it's time to discuss the potential resale value and reliability to make sure you are making a smart purchase. Now, first up, we'll talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Nissan Kicks potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 50.5% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 16.4%. Now, it's worth noting that is right around industry average for all vehicle makes when it comes to resale value by percentage. However, it will be less than other brands like Honda and Toyota.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several reliability studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that paints a more holistic picture. In this regard, Nissan is just slightly below the industry average.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values or reliability information, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new car is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. And guys, that's going to be it for our in-depth 2025 all-new Nissan Kicks review. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, not only are you going to get the latest car content such as this, you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel and do a lot of cool things that I'm sure you won't want to miss out on. So do yourself a favor, subscribe down below. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. And we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.